Hello, everybody. This is Ian Walker from the Stuff Podcast Show, back with another episode this week. You know, a lot has been going on this week in the way of entertainment, in the way of news, and the way of everything. Oh my God, there's just so much going on. So, this week's podcast, I was really kind of mulling over what I wanted to talk about, as there was quite a bit to discuss. Again, thinking about the podcast show, we are coming up now on towards the end of the last few episodes of this particular season 2. Last year, around this time, I think, or last season, I'm sorry, I think I stopped the first season at about 8 episodes. So this season I'm stretching. I want to go to 12 episodes. I want to make 12 episodes the normal stopping point for all my seasons of the podcast show. And I want to make that a definite thing. You guys are going to be seeing some more changes coming soon to the podcast show as well. I've made a decision based on some questions I asked people who I've been spreading the word about the podcast about. And two, I've been asking how they feel about hour-long podcasts. And what's funny is that a lot of people actually don't mind the long podcast, because when they listen to them, it's, when they're driving somewhere or they're just trying to pass time or whatever. So a lot of people don't seem to mind the hour-long podcasts. There's not a lot of podcasts that are 30 minutes, and I think that's something that kind of made me stand out above most. It was very quick to listen to, very easy to listen to. It was, wham bam. But a lot of people would like to listen to my podcast that I found when they found it, would just pretty much, I guess you would call binge listen, listen to all the episodes in succession. And when I go back and listen to the podcast too, I was able to go back and do that as well. So it was kind of interesting to, get that feedback. So I've decided that the next season, and starting actually with after today's episode, next week's episode on to the final 12th episode and all of season 3, all of those episodes will be 1 hour long. Yes, that means more preparation on my part. Yes, that means more relevant content toward what I'm trying to do. Yes, it means all of those things. And that's okay. That's okay. Because like I said, I'm trying to build this brand, and I'm trying to build more of an audience and a community for this particular podcast. So, I give you guys what you want. I'm really trying hard here. And Anchor has been a huge help because, it being on iTunes, a lot of people listen to podcasts over iTunes. And so that has been good for me. I am also going to be making sure that I really take the time to, again, begin posting my podcasts up on YouTube as well. I have been slacking on that. I ain't gonna lie. But for my YouTube folks out there who prefer to listen to the podcast on YouTube, I'm going to really make my due diligence in season 3 and these last few episodes to get all of those episodes up. And after the season's over, I'm probably going to be taking a 2-week break to prepare more for the podcast, get some interviews lined up, which I'm already working on right now for these next few episodes and the episodes in the coming season, and maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't know. But one thing I do know for sure is I'm going to have all the episodes up on YouTube and everything for you guys to listen to. I'm working on a website as well. I'm working on a page for the community to donate, just pennies where you can, some change. Nothing crazy. I decided not to do Patreon because to me, Patreon has become very salesy, and I don't want to have a salesy pitch. Like I said, I do this because I love doing it, not for the money. So everything that I'm going to be, that you guys will be donating towards will be to make the show better, to pay for travel expenses to come out and do the show in different locations and things of that nature. So, I got dreams and I got plans for this podcast. I do want to take it and do more. I want to keep it simple, but do more with it. You know what I mean? So, and again, the more you guys, contribute to it by way of your comments and your suggestions and all of that, the more I can do for this podcast show here, which I love doing. So, anyways, this week I want to talk about a few things. Two things. I want to kind of get back to life subjects. I know the last couple of episodes I kind of went on about more comic books and entertainment, very stuck on Infinity War and all of that. But I kind of wanted to get back to the life subjects and things that you guys all can relate to. So I'm going to be talking about time and time management and just how we get along without it. Because, there's the concept of time. We have it, but, it seems like with all the things that we have to do, we just don't have enough of it, do we? And then going back to the superhero thing, I wanted to talk about this season, season 4 of Gotham. Cameron Monaghan, who is an incredible actor, has been portraying the role of both Jerome Valeska and Jeremiah Valeska in Gotham as the new Joker. And I wanted to really go in and talk about him as a character and how much that guy has just been killing it. He so much so he's really putting himself up there among the greats of those who've played the role of the Joker. So that's what we're going to go down with today. And after the show, again, I'm going to be giving you guys some information on where you can email, talk to me, give me suggestions, all of that. And keep it moving. Get ready for the next few episodes and winding down the season. All right. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started, guys. Welcome to the stuff. We've all heard the statements, where does the time go? Or who has time anymore? Or what we always say, I don't have any time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? Is it true? Yes. Yes, it is. When it comes to time, I feel that a lot of people, especially in life and things that we're all going through or all the things that we're trying to accomplish, I think we try to do so much that it seems like the concept of time just in general just escapes us because we want to do so much. And I'm not, but before I get started, I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't be striving to do more for ourselves or try to lessen our loads in some kind of way, because in reality, there are certain things that we have to take care of. Our families, our health, our kids, work, all of those things, which are huge chunks of time that are necessary to be taken in order to accomplish those things. But sometimes I was sitting up thinking this past weekend, I sometimes think, is it possible for us to not take extra when we really don't have to? Is it necessary for us to always take on more when we don't have to add undue stress upon ourselves to the point where we feel like we run out of time to do the things either that we want to do or things that even need to be done, the things that should be a priority? We don't, I feel that sometimes we kind of, at certain times and certain points in our lives, put those stresses upon ourselves in ways. And, they're talking about one of the things that, just on a personal level, that I sometimes have an issue with is procrastination. And I honestly think it's a family trait. But but procrastination is something that I'm always trying to work on, because, getting things done at the last minute because there's other things that I'm trying to do, or, I put a lot of other things on my plate, procrastination becomes a problem, and I'm not producing what I want to produce in the way that I want to produce it. Because I'm the type of person who's like, put in your best or don't do it at all. So, when that happens and I'm not doing my time in the correct way, or apportioning my time in a correct manner, then, my work suffers, the things that I like to do, all of those other things suffer. And so, is the management of our time very important for us to produce the best results for everything? I think it is, personally. I think that if we keep things as simple as possible, we won't have to worry about that stress of, oh, did I do this right? Or do I, I don't have time to do this, or whatever the case may be. If we really take the time to just look at what we're doing, the things that we want to do, and make sure of the more important things in our lives, then that could be something that could be easily remedied. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that what I'm saying is a viable point? Do you think that's a correct line of thinking? There are some who like to have, some people who thrive on that challenge of the pressure, who actually produce better in that form of stress. Is that you? If it is, I would like to hear from you. I'd like to see what you think. I personally work at a university here in Monterey, where a lot of the grad students that are there are literally walking around either super hyped up on caffeine and things, or walking around like zombies, because they're so stressed out and so drained from all of the things that they have to do, where they feel they have to accomplish. And at the end, I have my own personal views on education and extended education, or extended secular education in the way of college and things of that nature. But, to just see them going through all of that and not having enough time to have a social life or do the things that are, more important, just kind of, makes me think all the time. It's just like, is it really worth it, people? Like, oh my God, they're taking all this time, and maybe they're right. Maybe because I'm so much older and they're so much younger, they have the time and the energy to do those things. Maybe that's what it is too. More energy, more time, because they're looking to explore all of the things that they do. But how do you guys feel about time management? What are some things that you guys do to apportion your time correctly in a way where you can get things done? Or do you find yourself as someone who does not have enough time to do anything? Do you put things off to the last minute? Do you enjoy the thrill of not having enough time to do stuff? And do you, for some miraculous reason, are you able to pull it off? I would love to know. I'd like to find out how you guys manage that. So when you can, leave a message here on Anchor, leave me an email at thestuffpodcastshow@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, on this particular aspect of time and time management, and how you go about, tackling those things in life, because as time goes on, time does slip away from us more so than we'd like. And if that can, if there are some things that you guys can give that can help, that would be awesome. And so yeah, leave me your thoughts, even on Instagram. Also reach out on Instagram too if you'd like, through the instant message, or under this week's post, you can, or the latest post, you can actually leave comments about time and time management. So next segment I want to take is going to talking about Gotham, and then moving on into plans and previews for next week's show. All right. So Cameron Monaghan is the brand new actor that is on Gotham, who has been portraying the role of Jerome Valeska and Jeremiah Valeska on season 4's episodes of Gotham this season. And last season, he's, let me see, what was it? The last shows he was on, well, the shows that he's currently still doing, that he's notably known for, is he plays a psychopath, ironically, named Ian, on a show called Shameless, which is on HBO. I personally have never seen the show, And I haven't really heard of Cameron Monaghan until he came to Gotham as Jerome. So this is my first time seeing him in general, and my first time seeing him in this role. This man, ladies and gentlemen, is simply amazing. I mean, this guy just really nails it on the head, and in both ways of the Joker, both renditions of the Joker as well. When Gotham had first come on and introduced the character of the Joker, what we got introduced to was the version of the Joker, which is actually the more current and recent version of the Clown Prince of Crime. He, in the comic books, if we go back, his return was a pretty dark return. Joker had been out of the comic books for a while. Joker had cut a face off and plastered it on his own head, and stitched it on. I mean, really crazy, really dark return to the comic book world. And so they kind of went with that rendition of the Joker for the character of Jerome. And his purpose was just pure chaos and anarchy without rhyme or reason. And he's done great. I mean, the character is funny. The character is very scary, dark, very intriguing. And I personally love how he always has a plan of some sort. And but at the same time, he always leaves you wondering, because you never know what the dude is going to do next. Gotham is a show where the rock stars of the show really are the villains. You got the Penguin, you got the Riddler, you've got a Rising, who I don't think will be considered a villain, but in the comic books is considered at first a villain and is now a part of the Bat family, Catwoman. You have Mr. Freeze, you got Firefly, you've got Mad Hatter, you've got the Scarecrow, who was also amazing, by the way. You have so many other characters, and they really take the forefront during this season. And so Jerome, the character of Jerome, or this version of Joker, has been very, very amazing and very fun. Doing things in Arkham that are just really shaking things up, kind of making nice with the Penguin, using him and his scheme in order to escape Arkham. For those of you that currently watch the show, know what I'm talking about. And his very first thing to do when he escaped Arkham was to go looking for his twin brother, which we found out was the case in this season. And that was kind of a shocker, because it really came out of left field, but it was done very well. And then they continued to surprise us even further when they revealed later on down the line that his twin brother would actually become the actual official Joker that we all know is going to be Batman's main nemesis in Gotham. This version, Jeremiah Valeska, is a genius, so-called, in his words, sane. He is a psychopath, but a sane psychopath that is the Joker that we know and love. He is a cold, calculating murderer, but with a purpose. He wants to create Gotham in his own image, not just to create random chaos. And everything he does it for a specific reason. He wants Gotham completely cleansed. The episode that we saw last week showed him very much staying true to his word. In the episode, he had people, he wanted the GCPD to evacuate Gotham, get everybody out in 6 hours, an impossible task, which he knew. And to show that he wasn't playing, instead of monologuing and making threats like most villains do, he actually blew up the clock tower in Gotham, where there were hundreds of people inside. So this was a situation where they did have to take him serious, and it was crazy. So Cameron Monaghan is doing a very, very good job of playing this character, and what impresses me the most about him is almost the same as how Tom Cavanaugh in The Flash really impresses me. Tom Cavanaugh is the guy who plays H.R. Wells, or just Wells in general, because he plays so many versions of them on the show. But they're all each distinct distinctly different characters. And Cameron is doing the same thing with this, but I think it's a lot better only because it is so focused. This was a dude who's done his research. I watched an interview on YouTube, actually, where he talked about him doing his character on Gotham. And one of the things that he said that I appreciate so much as a fan is that the man took the time to read each and every single comic book that the Joker was in, to understand the character, to learn about the character, to capture his essence, so to speak. And you could really tell through the acting chops that this guy has, because he portrays these characters perfectly. Okay. And so much so that now, as people are talking, he's being helmed as one of the great actors that have ever portrayed the Jokers. We all know, Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson are the ones who, held the titles for playing the two most iconic Jokers of all time. And then, of course, we can't forget Cesar Romero, who was the original Joker, who played in the 1960s version of Batman with Adam West and Burt Ward, and for the slapstick / gangster, clown prince. But right now, word is going out that this dude is going down in history as one of the best portrayals of the Joker ever. And he's unique in that he's portrayed two near perfect versions of the Joker. And as a DC Comics fan, I am just loving the take on how he's playing these characters. He's going toward a more musical sense, I believe. His look is very reminiscent. He even mentioned this himself, and once he said it, I went back and watched the episodes, I really saw it. He really takes a lot of his influence, one from the comic books, but also two of a lot of musicians. His look, if you look at him, he looks like a famous musician. If you look at him, like he's supposed to step out of a limo and he's supposed to have paparazzi all around him. I mean, his look is very cool, very sleek, very professional, very clean, but at the same time, just enough color and flash for us to maintain that recognizability as the Joker. So I am loving this season. The season finale comes on Thursday night, so I'm definitely going to be catching that and seeing how he rounds out this season for sure. And I've just been having a blast watching him portray this character and doing such an amazing job and making me happy as a fan after so many disappointments and portrayals of characters and heroes that we've recently seen from DC as of late, especially by way of the movies are concerned. So Cameron Monaghan, wonderful job, dude. Please keep up the good work. I cannot wait to see what more this guy is going to do. He's going to be working with Ra's al Ghul. This is going to be a decision that Ra's al Ghul is very quickly going to regret. Because again, those of us who've read the comic books know that Ra's al Ghul does not work with the Joker, because even he recognizes and understands that that man is just beyond bonkers and literally uncontrollable. So on Gotham, they're going to have them working together to bring Gotham down. And so I'm curious to see that dichotomy and see how that works for the show. This is a completely different version of the Batman mythos. It's going to be fresh. And I'll probably go into it again later about Gotham and in general, about where I think it's going to go and how this is a version of Batman that makes a little bit more sense. Some of my pros and some of my cons about the show. But this season 4, usually a show suffers with the season 4 curse. Just like, unfortunately, The Flash is suffering with that. The only thing keeping it interesting, honestly, is this season's villain, the Thinker. But Gotham is not suffering that season 4 curse, as it were. This has been a very solid, very character-driven season, and it has just been utterly amazing. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys watch Gotham, let me know what you think. If you haven't seen Gotham yet, what I want you to do is go back and watch the last 2 episodes. Go back and watch the last 2 episodes. And tell me what you think, y'all. Really. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your opinions on what you think is going on, how you like the portrayal of Cameron Monaghan as a Joker. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you think. The Stuff Podcast Show at gmail.com and at the Stuff Podcast Show over on Instagram are the two places where you find me. Leave messages, leave comments there. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you are listening on Anchor, go ahead and shoot me a message letting me know what you think and what you feel as well about Cameron Monaghan, about Gotham in general. Let me know what you think of that as well. Love to hear your thoughts. So with that said, folks, I'm going to be shutting this down. This is the last 30-minute episode of this stuff. Really quick, I wanted to go into a little bit more of what I'm going to be doing. This is episode 9 of the stuff for this season, season 2. The next 3 episodes are going to be 1 hour long. I've decided to go ahead and extend the episodes of the show because I want to give more content, and I'm going to be doing interviews every once in a while. The next 2 of those episodes will have interviews. One of those will be with Justin Prime of the J Primecast Pod Show that he also runs on Anchor and iTunes, Google Play. An amazing guy who talks about who has a podcast that's dedicated to comic book creators and pretty much a podcast of accountability, as he calls it. And I thoroughly enjoy all of his podcasts. It's very introspective, and it is a podcast that is really of a huge help. It's something that I wish I had when I was, I'm growing as an artist myself. Would have been a great tool of encouragement. So I'll be having an interview with Justin about J Primecast, his show, about his creations, about his future plans and what he wants to do. And then I will be having another episode that is an hour long that will be revealed, and the season finale episode will be episode 2 of Jive Stuff, or Jive Talk. I'll be talking with David Wilson, the host of the Jive Talk podcast, and also of the House of Darkner. And I will be talking with him about DCEU, or DCEU. And we're going to go ham on that podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. I just did an episode with him on his podcast about Avengers Infinity War, and we just had a back and forth dialogue about that movie and how amazing it was and how great it was, and about Marvel Studios and what they've done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So on my show, we're going to talk about the DC extended movie universe and talk about how garbage that is. Unfortunately, being a DC fanboy, that is sad, but it is a truth that I must live with. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this episode. I will see you guys, or talk to you guys, next week with Justin Prime of the J Primecast Show. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Deuces.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.